Have you ever been in a situation where you feel like your problems just keep on following you? Maybe you changed job, or you went to another relationship, another city, you changed something, but you keep on recreating the same type of situation. You attract the same people, you feel the same way. It just keeps on following you and you don't know how to break that vicious cycle. Well, this is because life is a reflection of who you are. And as long as those subconscious beliefs and patterns are still in you, you can change your environment, you can go to the other side of the planet, you can change jobs and relationships over and over and over again, you can change your car, your haircut, and so on. But if it's still in you, you will still keep on creating, manifesting it in your experiences and what you attract and create in your life. And this is the work that I do with a lot of my clients, is that they keep on experiencing certain things like a vicious cycle, right? Or like stagnating. And they don't know how to break free despite trying to fight and change the external environment, because this is the number one thing we try to change and control. If something is not working, the first thing the mind comes up with is, well, it's not me, it's my environment, it's the people, it's the economy, it's these people, right? So if I can change that, it will fix my problem. But often, very often, that only postpone or give you a brief relief or respite, and then things just go back to how they were. Okay, so for example, I work with a lot of clients who are, nice guys. They're too nice, meaning they seek external validation, they seek approval, they need other people to like them, they need to appear successful, they need to appear good, they need to appear like they got their shit together so that other people like them, so that they feel good about themselves, so that they can feel worthy, right? So this whole worthiness, feeling good about themselves, is all external. It depends on people, things, situation, things appearing a certain way. And so when it doesn't, it creates that anxiety, it creates that overwhelm, it creates that insecurity, it creates all those coping mechanisms that end up leaving them miserable. And so I had a client for years. He was in this situation, in this job that he liked and so on. He was working hard, he was doing more than others, he was basically being a doormat, a yes man. But every single year, he was being passed on for that promotion that he really wanted. But he never once asked for it. He just expected it to come because of his hard work, his dedication, because ChangeYour, because he was like always, available, because he was always doing more than what was needed. But you see, because of his subconscious self-worth was so little, life was just giving him a little. So when we started working together, not on changing the job, changing the boss and so on, this is something he could have done, but he liked what he was doing. And the opportunity for growth were there, but what needed to change is that he felt worthy and had the balls to go and ask for what he wanted. And when he started doing that, changing the thought, changing the insecurity, changing all that thing inside of him, he got what he wanted, and actually so much more, because from there, everything becomes like a domino effect. So instead of changing the world, fighting, going from one thing to the next and so on, hoping that it's gonna fulfill you or change your life and so on, if it's a pattern that keeps on happening, there is something in you that keeps creating it. And this is something I want to demonstrate and show you here so that you really understand how this pattern works. Here is a very simplified breakdown of how you create your reality, how your subconscious programs and that identity, how you see yourself, affect what you attract, create, and perpetuate in your life. So here you can see we have the external world. We got people, you got your job, social media, the world, all those things outside of you. Yeah. And those things are always interacting with you every moment of every day. You read stuff, you hear stuff, you feel stuff, like there's always things coming to us. Now, here's something super important to pause and to really reflect on. How you receive that information from the external world, whether it's word or lyrics or things you read or things you see, is going to a set of filters that you have at the subconscious level. What does that mean? It means that your subconscious mind, before you even having a conscious understanding of what is happening, your subconscious mind, based on all the belief, assumptions, rules, all those things you've basically how you know your world to be, right? That information goes through that filter and then comes out the filter, and it creates that thought, meaning how you understand, relate, interpret that thing that you just experienced outside of you. Yeah. So the information comes at you, it's filtered by who you are, the belief about the world, the belief about yourself, the belief about money, people, job, environment, and so on. And then you have that thought, and the thought creates the feeling. Whether you're feeling anxious or happy or calm or indifferent, it creates a feeling in the body, because emotions happen in the body, whether it's a contraction or an expansion, right? And then what does that do? It leads to the decisions and the actions that you take, right? The choice that you make, whether you procrastinate, whether you go for it, whether you get angry and bitter and resentful or play the victim, it doesn't matter, right? Like how you think and how you feel lead to the action decisions, and ultimately all of this leads to the external world result that you have, the job, the relationship, the money, the things you create, manifest, and so on, which then reinforce the cycle. And this is why it's a feedback mechanism, because what you see outside of you, the money in the bank, the state of the job, the economy, of the people, and so on, are a reflection of the belief system, the filters, the glass that you wear, that keep creating the same thought, the same perception. And so you understand the world through your limited, unique perception and idea of the world. This is why everybody perceives the world differently. This is why so many people have different opinions about what is good, bad, right, wrong, true, and not. And it's not like there is one unique truth that everybody needs to agree on. No, the world is different because each and every single one of us have a different map to understand and to navigate the world. And so if your map is leading you to anxiety and to procrastination and to not getting what you want in your world, you can fight the world as much as you want because you feel right and it's the right thing to do and blah, blah, blah. Or you can learn this and understand that if I got the wrong freaking map, it's never gonna take me where I want to go. So I need a new map. So what does that mean? It means I need to change not the world, not the people, and so on. It can work if it's toxic and it's hurting you and so on, then yes. But in so many of the cases, people change job, change car, change clothes, change relationship, change haircuts, and they still end up thinking, feeling, and experiencing the same thing. So when that is not working, your beliefs about the world, about the situation, about yourself, about your ability, about your skills, about who you are, about God, about money, about whatever, has to change. As Carl Jung used to say, if you let your subconscious mind be unconscious, it will continue to direct your life, and you will call it fate, when really it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So for example, when I work with my clients, instead of fighting here and trying to change everything externally, the main focus is, how did I create this in the first place? How am I co-creating this? How am I contributing to this? How am I keep on attracting, repeating the same pattern and so on? And so I'm going to give you another example so that you can really understand, right? Recently, I had a client who was working in finance, and he got promoted to manager, and now he had to lead the team. The team that was his colleague, there was like people he was working, having lunch, being friends with. All of a sudden, there is a change of dynamic, right? I'm the boss, I have to lead you, I have to do all those things, give you feedback, and so there is a dynamic shift, that pressure and so on, and that triggered a lot of things in him, because he still wanted to be friend, he still wanted to be liked, he still was struggling and wanting their approval, their appreciation, and be liked, right? And so he was triggering just a lot of things in him, right? The anxiety, the overthinking, the struggling to express himself, to have boundaries, to have the hard conversation, and eventually it started to affect the way he was thinking, it started to affect his attitude, it started to affect the way he was thinking, and it started to affect his job performance so much that he was dreading the next KPI meeting and the KPI that he had to do with his own team, okay? And so the solution he had, it was, well, I gotta change my job, it's not the right job. But you see, if he was going to another job, he would have the same challenge, I guarantee you that. So instead of changing the job, it's much better for his growth, his personal transformation, to look at inside of him, what is in him that is creating that need for approval, that need to be liked, that is creating that difficulty to have those hard conversations, to set boundaries and so on. And this is a problem that a lot of people experience when they go from here to becoming a manager, and they have that pressure and they have that anxiety and they have that need to be liked, and then they struggle with all of this, and then they regret becoming manager, and then they stop climbing that ladder because emotionally they cannot cope with all the stuff that he brought out. Yeah, so it becomes that barrier. And so again, the real growth and the real transformation, the real opportunity that this situation gives, is that it gives you an opportunity to have a look at what is it inside of me that's creating this thought, that's creating this feeling, that's creating that inaction, that's creating those mixed results, despite what I want to do, despite how I want to be a leader, despite how I want to grow. And if you do that, you can start to let go of the old thought, the old thing, the old attachment to worthiness coming from people approval and from being a certain way and from being liked and so on. And when you start to do that, you shift your own identity, you shift and you expand your own mindset, and you shift your own thought and your own emotion, your own decision, your own action. You start seeing different results, because who you are, how you interact with the world, your perception about the world, and your whole energy and attitude has completely shifted. And that's the gift of growth. And I guarantee you that's how you break the pattern, because you have outgrown the pattern. You no longer play the same thing, you no longer see the world in the same old way, through the same old subconscious lens and so on. You have upgraded, and therefore your world and your situation and what you do and the choice you take lead you on a different path. And so really hope you understand that, because we all have a habit of naturally looking at people, things externally, blaming, wanting to change them. When I change them, then everything's going to be okay. What is at the core? And if you're struggling with a pattern like this and you don't know where to start, where to look, and how to break that pattern, you can book a one-on-one coaching discovery call with me, link in the description. And together we can go deep and we can break that old belief, those old pattern, and set you free to create what you want. Link is down in the description, guys. Thank you for watching this video. We'll see you next time. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you.